Oh, the presidential election. I wonder who Foster High School favors. Maybe we should do a survey. Can you teach me how?
Yeah, I can. But first, let's start with what not to do. Hey, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So, in the 2016 election, are you going to vote for the good man Donald Trump or crooked Hillary?
I guess Donald Trump.
Okay. Excuse me, sir. Quick question. Who are you going to vote for in this 2016 election?
I prefer not to answer. It's personal information.
Okay. Hey, you know everybody in the school's voting for Donald Trump, right? Who are you going to vote for again?
Donald Trump.
Hey, if anybody wants to tell me who they're voting for this election, come up and tell me right now.
Oh, I do.
Okay, who are you going to vote for?
I'm going to vote for Hillary.
Okay. Alright, thank you. Now that I've taught you what not to do, I think you can properly sample the population at Foster High School.
Okay, sounds good. Great, now I've got the results. What do I do with them?
I can help with that. To find the true proportion of people voting for Donald Trump in this school, we are going to conduct a 1 prop z interval. In order to conduct a 1 prop z interval, you have to make sure to satisfy the assumptions. The first rule is randomness. You have to make sure to address randomness. The second rule is that the population has to be 10 times greater than the sample. And lastly, the success and failure counts have to be greater than 10. To conduct this test, you're going to have to substitute these numbers into your calculator. The first step is to turn on your calculator and go to Stat. After you do that, you're going to right scroll to Tests and scroll down to 1 prop z interval. Once there, you're going to plug in your data. Out of the 50 people we surveyed, 31 of them said they voted for Donald Trump as demonstrated by our X and N values. Secondly, we want to have a confidence level of 90% as evident by the 0.9. Then you press calculate. If you don't have a calculator, you can always do this by hand. Now the formula for a 1 prop z interval is p hat plus or minus your margin of error. Now the formula for margin of error is your z-score, which is based upon your confidence interval, and your standard error, which is the square root of p hat times 1 minus p hat, all divided by your sample size. Now, alright, since we had a sample size of 50, and 31 out of those 50 stated they voted for Donald Trump, our p hat would be 31 divided by 50, or 0.62. Now, our sample size, n, is equal to 50, so the last thing to figure out is our z-score, and since we are doing a 90% confidence interval with infinite degrees of freedom, you would just use your formula chart and look at their intersection, and that yields a z-score of 1.645. So if we were to plug these numbers in, we'd get 0.62 plus or minus our z-score of 1.645 times the square root of our p hat, which was 0.62, times its complement, which is 0.28, divided by our sample size of 50. Now, if we were to plug this into our calculator, we would get the same exact interval as our previous calculation of 0.50709 and 0.73291.
So what does this data really tell me?
In terms of interval interpretation, I'm 90% confident that the true proportion of Donald Trump supporters at Foster High School lies between 50.71% and 73.29%. In terms of level interpretation, if we were to continuously obtain samples of this size and magnitude, then approximately 90% of them would would possess the true proportion.